Hi. So I've been wanting to start doing le- readings, live readings for special events, and the Sagittarius full moon really felt pretty potent to me, and I figured why not to try it out and see what happens. If worse comes to worse, no one will see this, and I will have practiced doing something new and putting myself out there. So that's completely fine. So the way that I do readings in general, I don't do predictive offerings. So I don't really like the idea of predicting the future. I think that we have free will and are we can create what we want in our lives for the most part. However, I do think it's helpful to have some sort of insight and advice. And I find that cards and divination, it can be super, super helpful if we do it in the right way. So the way I do it is mostly as advice for the present moment. So the idea is that if you're tuning into me right now, we're in some way aligned energetically, and whatever I have to offer in this moment might be what you need to hear to get yourself into alignment to make life work out a little bit more in your best interest and in your highest good. So, the reading that I'm about to offer again is not predictive in any way. It's just a blessing. It's almost like a prayer, a supportive love offering to make sure that you have support from people outside of yourself. Uh, on your path in this present moment. So, the Sag full moon, I'm not really super um, well read when it comes to Sagittarius. I just know Sagittarius energy from friends and people maybe I've dated and foes and just observation. I don't know a lot about it outside of that. I also had my Saturn return, and my Saturn is in Sagittarius, so it's definitely a sign of authenticity and freedom. I know for that, and deeper wisdom and philosophical insight, and just kind of seeing a little bit more deeply into things, which I really love. A lot of my Sag acquaintances have a way about them that is a little mysterious and makes you want to show up as yourself in their presence. But they're very loving and free and inspiring, which I like. Even though I've had some experiences with Sages that aren't the best, but I can understand it in my own way. Okay, so for the Sag full moon cycle, the cards that I picked, I wish that you could see this little spread. I might just like pick up the computer and show it to you. So the cards I picked, let's see, can you see it? They're really beautiful. Um, good. So I did a four-part spread. So the first card of the tarot that I picked was for relationships, so love and all of that yummy stuff. The second card was for career, which I found really, really interesting, and we'll see why when we see what came up. The third card was for personal health and well being. And the fourth card was for friendship and social community. And then I also picked a card for the overall energy from the Sacred Rebels deck, uh, as well as the Chakra Wisdom deck and the Goddess deck. And these are just, some more energy to kind of clarify what came up for this four-card spread. Then at the end, two more cards want to come out, and that's again also for the overall energy. The first card being advice for the 2 weeks ahead of what to keep in mind, and the second card being more of like an outcome. What taking that advice is really meant to bring to you, so that you can understand why you're doing it. Okay, so the first card for romance that I picked was the Magician. And again, we're not doing anything predictive here. So for me, this card really represents manifestation and your capabilities of kind of creating the life that you want. And when I saw this card, I kind of chuckled a little bit because I'm a princess at heart. Like I'm always going to be a little Disney princess. I was raised in the 80s and early 90s, so when I'm dating, I'm always 20 steps ahead of myself. Even in a significant relationship, I'm always thinking about the future and getting ahead of myself. And a lot of times, what happens is I can settle for what I don't really want because I'm in the daydream of what is possible. And what this card actually represents to me is knowing what I want and not settling. So, knowing that it's actually possible to manifest the kind of bond that I want by not uh, settling for things that don't actually meet what I want, but might in the future. So this is a invitation, in my opinion, to kind of take a few steps back and trust that what you're looking for is actually out there, and maybe it can manifest with the relationships that you currently have, but to not try to like manipulate it so much through control and whatnot, but taking a step back and knowing what you're worth, what you deserve, and working on yourself so that you're in alignment with what you truly are working towards, what you're truly calling in as far as it comes to love and romance, which I think is wonderful. Um, for career, and keep in mind this is I'm pulling these cards, but I pulled the Tower, which the Tower is actually my birthday card, which actually I've always hated this card, and I've come around to it over the last year since it's been so potent in my life, the energy of the Tower. But the Tower is really a revolution. It's the idea of change. It's the idea of acknowledging what is in your life that is on rocky foundation, that isn't really working out for you, and and letting it go. Now, what's really, really interesting, and I found, is we typically know where our tower energy is in our lives. We know what's not really working for us, what we've already kind of checked out. And so around. So you can know where your tower moments are going to come by where you talk shit, what you talk shit about, what you feel icky about, what you're angry about, what you have resentments about. Eventually, a tower is going to happen in this moment. And what that means is it's just going to fall out underneath of you, um, or it's going to be taken from you. And it can be really rough and ugly, or you can see it ahead of time and do something about it. So, as far as career comes, uh, receiving a tower card is just kind of an invitation to change things up as far as career goes, to maybe look for new jobs, to be willing to move, to be willing to start fresh, and also having an open heart that soon everything is going to look a lot different. And that's okay. The tower moment is leading to the star, right? So it's you have all this destruction and everything falls away so that you can heal and become more whole and more yourself. So it's a wonderful thing. Um, as far as I go, I know that when I see this, it's a confirmation that some of the changes that I know I need to make have to happen, and to move forward with that. Because if I don't initiate it on my own, it's going to happen either way. So it's not we think we have a choice here, but if you in your back of your mind have felt that misalignment, you've already made the choice, and that's where we confuse free will. So it's like we think it's like, oh, I said yes, I said no, and blah blah blah. I said I wanted this, but it was taken away from me. You might have said you wanted it, maybe on some surface materialistic level you still want this thing, you want to hold on to it for pride, for ego, for whatever, but in your heart you've decided that you don't want it anymore. And you might not have the strength at this point or the know-how to step away, so the universe is going to facilitate it for you. So I just invite you to think about that, and just, you can just sit back and meditate and just be like, "Okay, universe, take me on this wild ride, and I'll try not to get too hurt about it, but I know it's coming." Yeah? It's not meant to scare you, it's meant to put you in a state where you're living with integrity, and also you're living with one hand held by the universe, and not completely in self-will, where you're not just forcing yourself to live the way that you've decided or you have up until now. Because when we do that, when we live in misalignment for too long, we can get sick. We can get all kinds of things can go wrong. So these opportunities of forcing ourselves to let go are really there to free us, to make us more healthy, to make us more happy. Okay. Uh, for personal health and well being, I pulled the Three of Wands, and I really love this version of this card. He's looking over his land and seeing, all the possibilities. And to me, it also looks like an accomplishment, right? So, reading into this for health and well being, it's about kind of strategizing and planning and traveling and moving around and being open to starting things fresh or going about things differently than you have before. Which, if you're having this moment where you're like, I think actually I'm not going to settle in a crappy relationship, and you know what, this job situation isn't really working out. So you know what, I think I'm going to make some changes. And actually, while I'm at it, I should maybe start to really take care of my body a little bit better. And maybe I've never tried being vegetarian before. Maybe I'll do that. Or maybe I've never gone running before. Maybe I'll do that. But it is an invitation to go about things a little differently, to come up with a new plan when it comes to your health and well-being, and to maybe stick to it. Um, and then last, for the four-card spread for friendship and social circles, I've picked the Emperor, which is Aries energy. And Aries energy, it has like two sides to it. It's like free and leader, but it can also be kind of domineering and forceful and um, unforgiving. So what a wonderful card to pick when it comes to friendship. But it does really feel like a sign that, you know, if you are in this state where you know your worth when it comes to relationship, at least loving relationship, if you're willing to make the changes or go with the flow of letting go of the things that aren't working in your career, if you are starting to take care of your body and change things up a little bit, uh, you can kind of step into the role of feeling really, really powerful and strong, and maybe even act as a leader for your friends, or maybe because you're acting as a leader, attracting in friends that are comfortable with your truth and aren't threatened by it or jealous or anything like that. So to really, really step up and be your true, most powerful self, and be open to people that are on that level with you, rather than trying to, um, pull everyone up to your level. And the card actually warns against that. It warns against giving people to unwanted advice, of helping people that didn't ask for the help. That being said, to make yourself available with fatherly energy to those who do need help. So for me, this kind of feels like a good blessing, that at least for me, of making friends and whatnot in these new outlets that I'm starting to attract into my life, and by being more authentic. So I'm looking forward to that. Had a lot of friends fall away in the last year or two, but a lot of really lovely ones come in, and I'm so happy for the exchange. It was hard to make that exchange, but now that it's done, I can feel myself so much lighter and freer, and less awkward and uncomfortable in the presence of others, because they're not like rolling their eyes at me or annoyed at everything I say, because I'm choosing better company, which is quite nice. All right. So for the advice from the Sacred Rebels deck, I got New birth, guard vigilantly. And I love this card, although it always kind of makes me a little nervous. I almost didn't do this reading today because I was so nervous about it. I actually decided to do YouTube instead of Instagram Live, just so that I could be a little bit more at ease. So really, this is the visual that she uses in this oracle is a little seedling starting to grow out of the earth, and you kind of blocking other people from stepping on it, right? So I think that really kind of puts it into perspective. But for me, this message is just like all the things that you're working toward right now, all the beautiful things that are opening up in your heart, all the things that are budding where you can feel yourself being more authentic and feel yourself more healthy and free and at ease and good. All those little things, not to sacrifice them, not to let other people's opinions, other people's energy trample what you're building. And it kind of comes as a warning to like keep good company, and to that people need to kind of earn being in your presence and in your space. And I don't mean that in like a uh, prideful way, but at least as myself, I'm always so happy to spend time with anyone, and I'm very welcoming and open and whatever. And I found that that can come from a state of naivety. And sometimes the people that I welcome into my life are coming from a jealous energy, and the advice that they're giving is actually not meant to serve me, you know. And at least in my experience, I've found that um, yeah, sharing space with the wrong people can really hold you back and dismantle a lot of what you've worked on or what you're working toward. So I know in my life, I have to be really thoroughly careful of that. And if you're tuning into this, maybe you do as well. So just an offering of really knowing that you're building some really beautiful things for yourself right now, and you deserve those things. And anyone who is making you doubt them or question them or is trampling on them in any way cannot be coming from a good place, unfortunately. They can say it, they can even think it, they can think that they're protecting you, but if they're coming from fear, then is that really the energy that you're trying to live from? So trust your intuition. If you feel like someone is coming from an unaware, unawake place, just know that. Don't take offense to it. Don't let it hurt you. Don't let it discourage you. Just, I see, I understand, and then walk away. I made a video a few days ago about responding to people's trauma, communicating with people's trauma. So if you want to talk a little bit more about that, you can tune into that and give me your feedback if this comes up for you. Last second, I picked a goddess card, and it's the shape shifting Vila, shape shifting, and this really is to me a blessing of changing and being willing to not be stuck in what you've been so far and what has worked so far, but to you know, be willing to be flexible and try new things. I know for me, I have to venture out of the primary way that I've been making money over the last 10 years, and it's making me very nervous and whatnot. But at the same time, who knows what that's going to lead to? So just kind of opening up to different ways of being. And also because this reading is also about, not only about career, but also about health, right? So this idea of shape shifting of, oh, I've always thought that this was healthy, but maybe actually that's not what's good for my body. And I need to kind of be more flexible with that. And as far as the romance portion, maybe opening up to people that you wouldn't normally think that you would be interested in, or who knows. And as far as friends and social circle, I think this also can be a big invitation to spend time with new people, to open yourself up to new people, and to not be so stuck in how things have been. So I think all around it's a good blessing, and she's just so beautiful. The card talks about the shapeshifters, Vilas, taking form of different animals and whatnot to protect the forest. So I really just love this image. Then last from the oracle cards, the chakra deck, I picked confusion, which, the card seems a little negative, but none of these cards are negative. This deck is so powerful and so special. But basically, it's just giving you permission to not know what you want yet, and like to just be in this state of seeking clarity and knowing that there's value there, and to not be so frustrated that you haven't figured it out yet. It's also an invitation to meditate, to do things that will help bring you clarity, and to maybe spend this next 2 weeks being in a state of awareness, of observation, and not committing too strongly to anything until you feel a sense of clarity about it. It's not to say that you're not going to feel a sense of clarity and you can't act on it. You totally should, but it's making sure that you're not making your decisions from a state of confusion. Instead, you feel clear. Yeah. Okay. The overall energy of the reading, or the overall advice of the reading, is the Hermit card. I'm always happy to get the Hermit card because but um, anything that tells me that I don't have to leave my room or my bed for a little bit and I can just meditate and not socialize, I'm usually happy for. But I'm not feeling that right now, actually. Like, I want to be out and about and socialize. But what I think this because of the topics that were brought up, relationship, career, health and wellness, and social, I think this is an invitation to really, ride solo for a little bit, to not commit to anyone or anything, and um, to just, take a step back and be in more of a state of collecting data, observation, reflection, and let yourself process, some of the changes that are taking place as we transition into summer. Uh, yeah. So, if you're jumping ahead in a relationship, or if you are making decisions to commit to something that doesn't feel right in career, this might be an indication to, take a step back and make sure that that is really what you want. And it doesn't mean that it's not what you want, but just take some time to reflect. And anything that is worth being in your life for the long term will wait for you to reflect. If it's going to rush you into making a decision, it is not for you. Right? Okay. Bye. Oh, sorry. Just kidding. There's one more thing. So the last card. So if we take this time right now, and we take this advice that we've just called in, to kind of take a step back, to reflect on what we actually want, to believe that we are capable of manifesting our true desires and love, that we're willing to let go of career opportunities that no longer serve us, that we're willing to kind of start fresh and have a new strategy when it comes to our health and wellness. If we're willing to stand in our integrity and not push our wisdom on others, and have this little bit of hermit time, with reflection, or at least taking some time every day where we have our hermit time, we get the sun. And so all of this work, this is an invitation to practice daily, to practice meditation, to practice letting go, to practice planning and visualization, to practice acceptance, to practice meditation. If we do all this, it's just going to lead us to happiness. The sun is the happiest card in the deck, and look how beautiful it is. So it can be happiness in this moment, it can be happiness in the future, but why wouldn't these things bring us happiness? To have time to build our relationship with ourselves, our inner knowing, uh, obviously is going to make us happy. So it seems that the Sag full moon blessing is to really, really dedicate some more time to your relationship with yourself, to be willing to make changes for yourself, and to know what you actually want, and to be willing to actually stand up for it and claim it. And even if that means that for a little bit you need to spend some time alone, so be it. Are you really that bad? Is it really so terrible to be alone? I've found that solitude sometimes is really just so yummy, to be able to digest everything that happens. So I hope that this comes as a helpful and supportive blessing for you. And I will be posting the Reiki share on Friday at 10 a.m. And I think I'm going to start doing some more readings here and there. I just need to kind of get used to it and get into a rhythm. But I'd like to at least do one a month, but maybe more. So we'll see what happens if I end up doing them. I was doing them daily and I kind of took a step back. But I feel like I have the energy to do that. If you appreciate this offering or any of my offerings and you would like to donate in support of that, I would be highly appreciative. I am definitely in a transitional period, and any little offering of love will be greatly used and felt. So you're more than welcome to do that. The link is in the description of this video, and it's also on my Instagram and all over the place. It's my Linktree link, or it's just you can do it through PayPal, NicoleandYoga@gmail.com. All right, have a great day. Namaste. Yay.